So what games are going to be the competitors to Diablo Immortal, or another way of looking at it as what games can you play while you're waiting for Diablo Immortal? What is up, my friends? My name is Echo, and welcome back to the channel, where today we're looking at what Diablo Immortal has to compete with. And I consider myself an expert on this topic because while I was waiting for Diablo Immortal to come, I literally looked at everything in the App Store from BlizzCon 2019 to current day. I'm always looking at what's coming out and what are we going to see. But I thought about how I wanted to bring you this information today. Did I want to watch Diablo Immortal gameplay and talk about games that are going to be competitors, or did I want to kind of show you the gameplay of the game? So I actually decided on showing some sick Diablo Immortal gameplay, and because I have an amazing editor, every time that I talk about a new game, he's going to pop an image of that game or the logo so you can go check it out. I'll also be linking all the games that we're talking about today in the description of this video, so make sure you go check them out if you want to give them a download. Some of those links actually support me here in the channel. But before we go any further, make sure you sub and ring the bell for daily Diablo Immortal videos. But now let's get into what some of this competition is going to be, what some of the games are going to be. And while we're doing that, we're actually watching some near max level Demon Hunter go against the Baal battle. This is like the final Baal battle. It's a good one of my favorites inside of the game. But the first one is A3 Still Alive. A3 Still Alive is the game that I'm referencing every single time I talk about Diablo Immortal having a battle royale mode. Diablo Immortal needs to have a battle royale mode. I really do feel that it's just going to be a great way to implement PvP inside of the game that people really enjoy, a gameplay method that people are used to and is current in the meta. A3 Still Alive is the game that does that, and that is my favorite part about the game. The rest of it, the campaign, the mission, how it plays, the autoplay features inside of A3 Still Alive are not my favorite. But man, that battle royale mode is just incredible. It really does make the game special because at this point in time, it's the only action RPG that I'm familiar with that has a battle royale mode. So A3 Still Alive, that's one you guys are going to want to check out. And next up on the list is one that a lot of you Diablo 2 fans have told me about that I got to try out as well, and that was Anima ARPG, which is an old school style Diablo styled game, dungeon crawling game. Really a great representation of how Diablo used to be 20 years ago in the days of Diablo 2. This one was not my favorite only because it didn't have the graphics that I'm looking for inside of a game, which I know it's kind of petty of me to say that, but I do enjoy a really good looking game. But with that being said, Anima is probably the best dungeon crawler action RPG on mobile right now, better than even A3 Still Alive or any of the others that we're going to mention, if you can get past the graphics or the lack of graphics. And the next one is one that we've also covered here on the channel. It's Raze Dungeon Arena. Raze had decent graphics. It had a pretty vast world. If you recall from my previous videos, the rifts and the dungeons were pretty short. We're talking about a couple of minutes long, and that was it. And there was something else that we didn't love about Raze, and that was, it was pretty pay to win. You literally could buy everything anywhere at any time with spam everywhere throughout the game. There was always an opportunity, and it would be shining you in the face to purchase something in Raze Dungeon Arena. That's my only reason for not loving the game. Now, if we compare it to Diablo Immortal 1, Diablo Immortal doesn't spam sales in front of you anywhere inside of the game, where Raze does everywhere. And the graphics of Diablo Immortal are a heck of a lot better than on Raze. With that being said, Raze is very fun, and you could still play it for free and have a great time. So I'm putting it on the list today because it's one that is going to be a competitor and is currently a competitor of Diablo Immortal, and that's one that they're going to need to face. Now, I want to let you guys keep in mind that only half of the games that we're talking about today are direct comparisons, dungeon crawling action RPGs. The others are MMORPGs, which is, you know, the massive multiplayer online action RPGs, because Diablo Immortal does have that element of the game as well. So next, we're going to go back to a bit of a classic, and I'm talking about Eternium. Eternium is an amazing game. The only one that has a system inside of the game where you can draw on the screen to do certain animations inside of the game. It's one of my favorites on today's list as well, although it's dated in its graphics and it's been around for a while. You can pay to get things inside of the game. It is spammed at you a little bit, but nothing excessively, not to the point where I would say you don't want to play this game. Eternium was fun. Is it something that you're going to spend hours and hours playing every day of the week? No, it's going to get stale on you, in my opinion. But it's something that is a competitor. It's an action RPG, not exactly dungeon crawling, more fantasy world. But it's one of the best in its class, even though it's a few years old. So it deserves to be on the list. And then there's Dungeon Hunter. Dungeon Hunter is another one that's been around forever. I think we're up to like Dungeon Hunter 5 right now, maybe even further. It's been kind of the standard action RPG across mobile for a very long time. I don't love it. I never actually did, but it's got such a cult following and it's been around for so long. People are really used to playing this game and they're really used to the Dungeon Hunter world, which is why it's on the list today, because it's something that people are already invested in and comfortable with. Where Diablo Immortal, you have to come in and get re-comfortable with a brand new game and a brand new series. So it's going to be a competitor. And then we have the final action RPG on the list, which is Darkness Rises. Now, Darkness Rises is original. It's something different about it. And it's one of my least favorite. The graphics are great. The combat is really good. But it's got that running forward feature inside of the game where you're running into the screen from one to the next. There is an autoplay mechanism in it as well. And although the combat is good, actually it's really good and visual, you're really visualizing some amazing battles. The control you have is a lot more helped by the computer and by your phone. It doesn't, you don't have to have skill to play the game. You need to tap now or make this motion rather than actually formulate your own battle scenes. You have to just follow through the mechanics that the game has to offer you. It's there because of its graphics. It's a lot of fun. It's pretty popular and it's easy. It's easy. So it's going to be a competitor. But we did mention that we had dungeon crawlers and then we had MMORPGs. And there's no better way to start out an MMORPG than with Genshin Impact. The biggest hit on mobile as of late. This thing came to mobile and literally took over by storm. And it wasn't only mobile though, it was cross-platform with cross-play enabled. So that was really great. I do wish that I started playing Genshin Impact, not on this channel because it doesn't fit well with Diablo, but on maybe a new channel. But I was late to the game. I dropped the ball on that one and I'm 5 months late to Genshin Impact, but Genshin Impact is probably the most well-rounded, most solid game of all on the list today. Now, all of the MMO action RPGs that I'm going to be sharing with you guys have that anime Asian style theme to the game. Me personally, I prefer Diablo Immortal looking stuff, you know, in hell, dark, dungeony and stuff like that. But a lot of people like the brighter, more anime style games. There's actually a huge following for that. So we're going to be going through a bunch of those, Genshin Impact being the first and probably the best and by far the most popular on the list. And then we're going to get into Dragon Raja, which is another one which is really nice. I mean, I've played all of these MMORPGs. I've actually played every game that's on the list today. And one thing about all the games that you're about to hear are that they're really pretty. They're really nice looking games. When I talked about graphics in Anima and said that they weren't good, well, the graphics here, they are all great. Just incredible graphics. The problem that I have with these games are it's just a massive world and my God, it's just overwhelmingly big. In Diablo Immortal, I feel like you have a lot more direction. You can free roam and do all that if you want to, but you don't have to. You don't feel like that's something you have to do. In games like Dragon Raja, I feel like there's so much to do in so many places and it can be so overwhelming. With that being said, I'm actually considering starting playing the game again because it's really good. But then it's like, out of the 5 MMORPGs that I'm about to mention to you guys, which one do you play? And the next one is going to be Perfect World Mobile. Perfect World Mobile is another one that's great. It's one of the first. I actually picked this one up, I believe it was when I was at BlizzCon 2019 looking for games like Diablo Immortal, and I quickly realized this was not a lot like Diablo Immortal. It was good, but it was not a Diablo Immortal experience. It just wasn't. So what do we do? I mean, which one do we play? Genshin Impact, Dragon Raja, Perfect World Mobile. They all look great. I mean, that tiger looks amazing on the Perfect World Mobile theme. It's just a really great looking game with great looking characters with very vast worlds. They're all very similar with their own differences along the way. And that brings me to Black Desert Mobile. Black Desert Mobile, I used to talk to people about Diablo Immortal is coming to mobile, and everyone would say, just play Black Desert Mobile. It's a better game. Well, it's got autoplay, and you could literally have the game play for you. I don't like that feature in a game that I'm going to invest a ton of time into. I do like that feature into the game I play on the side while I really focus on my main stuff, but I don't like it for games that are going to be my primary game that I spend a ton of time playing. Black Desert Mobile is a very good game and one of the more popular ones on today's list, but I don't think that it's going to be. I think that Diablo Immortal is going to be way more popular. I actually think that Diablo Immortal is going to contest Genshin Impact in popularity on mobile. Genshin Impact being the most popular one that we're talking about here today. So Black Desert Mobile, great game. I actually loved the control scheme in that game because you had your row of controls and then you could swipe and then you have another row of controls. So you have 2 layers of attacks and supers and specials, which was really nice inside of the game. And lastly, Rangers of Oblivion, which is another one that I did try over at BlizzCon. And again, it's a lot like your Perfect World Mobile, like your Dragon Raja. Very Asian themed anime style game where you have a vast world, you have to run quests, upgrade stuff. I mean, the game genre, well, it's the same. The genre is all the genre. So the game styles are going to be similar or they're going to be the same. So we can't expect too much of a difference because these are all the same genre style of games. We just need to figure out what they can do to make things different and to make them special for that game itself. But then it brings us to the final one. And the final one is one that you guys probably have played. And that's one that's not even out yet. Path of Exile Mobile. Path of Exile on PC right now is probably the direct competitor to Diablo 3. And to be honest with you, it's probably more popular than Diablo 3 right now, just being that it's got newer stuff in it. And it just seems more updated than Diablo 3. Path of Exile Mobile, well, they announced that they're going to be having a mobile game after Blizzard tanked their announcement for Diablo Immortal. They did it in a very comedic way. They tried to be funny with it and make sure that it would, it would happen. So my question is Path of Exile Mobile going to be better than Diablo Immortal? And I think that's going to be based on the person playing and how deep you want your game to be and what style do you like. They're both action RPG dungeon crawlers, but which one is going to do it better? And that's going to be, in my opinion, the direct competitor of Diablo Immortal. Now, I'll tell you, I think Diablo Immortal is going to be out about a year before Path of Exile Mobile. I think they're going to have a big head start on the game. So out of all the things we talked about today, out of all of the games that I mentioned, which ones do you think are going to be direct competitors to Diablo Immortal? In my opinion, the games that are going to be competitors have to be huge. They have to have massive potential. So that leaves us with only 2. Genshin Impact and Path of Exile Mobile. The others are great games, but they are not going to be as broad and vast and as amazing as Diablo Immortal, as Genshin Impact, or as Path of Exile Mobile. That's an assumption. I assume that Path of Exile Mobile is going to be great. So let me know your thoughts, guys. I want to remind you that I'm live streaming over on Twitch regularly, and it'll be awesome if you came through. I'm going to be linking 2 things as the pinned comment. First thing is going to be my Discord server. Second is going to be my Twitch link. I'd love it if we could hang out no matter what mobile games I'm playing. I want to play and hang out with you guys. Hope you enjoyed the video today, guys. Thank you so much for coming through. Check out some of my other stuff before you go. Be good.